Icebreaker is the newest roller coaster to open up at SeaWorld Orlando, and I gotta say one thing. What is this ride? This ride, well, we all thought this ride would have been a family-style roller coaster, and it is, but it's not what we were expecting as a family coaster. This is definitely more on the thrilling side, and I love it. In today's video, I'll be giving my in-depth review on Icebreaker. Icebreaker SeaWorld Orlando is just now opening. It was supposed to open in 2020 and then got delayed to 2021, and then we all know what happened. It got delayed to February, and pass holder previews started beginning just this past weekend, and I got to ride it for my first ever time. I got a total of 4 rides, 2 rides in the front row and 2 rides in the back car. So I got a good feel for the ride. I never got a middle car ride though, but I think I do have a pretty good feel to actually make a coaster review on this ride. So yeah. So some of the stats on this ride aren't impressive, but this ride doesn't need to have impressive stats. It actually only has a height around 93 feet. It only reaches 52 miles per hour, and it only does have a track length that I don't even remember what the track length is. It's that for sure. But it's not, the stats don't make this ride. What makes this ride is its powerfulness. It's a small but powerful ride. It's kind of like, I guess I can compare this ride to some of the RMCs. I don't know if that is like a fair comparison. Compared to like some of the smaller RMCs, like maybe Twisted Cyclone, this ride can compare by the airtime. The airtime on this ride is actually insane. Like, this is like pure RMC ejector on a Premier Rides coaster. Premier especially on their Skyrocket 2s on Tigers and Tempesto, and the back on the twisting 90-degree drop, you'll get some amazing ejector, but this ride has quick pops. It's not sustained. If you want sustained airtime, go to Mako, but it's kind of like what SeaWorld has. They have like this perfect lineup between the two coasters. It's like Mako has the awesome floater sustained airtime, as Icebreaker has quick pops of sustained ejector, which is like what RMC coasters will have. It's just quick pops of it, but what it is really good, especially the Death Hill and the fourth launch. I'll get into that moment in a little bit, but where this coaster is, it's amazing, and I think this is a borderline thrill coaster. I think this is the same as, I think we were talking about the situation with Cheetah Hunt, but this ride is definitely more thrilling than Cheetah Hunt, especially on the first half with the amazing elements and all that. So yeah, let's get into this ride experience. When you're going over to Icebreaker, you will need to wait until 11 o'clock because this part of the park does not open till then. So if you're wanting to get on the ride right when park opens, good luck with that. But besides that, I think this is located in the perfect area. Now, the one side of the park, the left side of the park, which has Mako and Kraken, those are where most of the coasters are. The only coasters on the side of the park where Icebreaker is their kiddie coaster. The only other things like that are notable in that area is Sesame Street, Shamu Stadium, Infinity Falls. That's about it. And then you got the left side of the park, which has Mako, Manta, and Kraken. So there isn't much to do in this area, and now there's a reason why to come to this side of the park now. This ride really did fill in a gap for SeaWorld. The park needed a launch coaster, filled in that. It needed a coaster that needs a short height requirement. This ride has that. So basically anybody could ride Icebreaker. Now let's get into this ride experience. Icebreaker, when you're entering the queue isn't that big, and actually the queue is the bare minimum that you can expect from a SeaWorld park. There's some cool information, a few little ski things, and some snow theming. I like the entrance of the ride actually. I like how it features some icebergs and a cool Icebreaker entrance. The entrance sign, in my opinion, is fantastic looking. But besides that, there's nothing really much with the queue or entrance area. I like how they actually rethemed the actual burger place next to it to Altitude Burgers. They made that change about a year ago, and it definitely does fit the theme. And also you got the old Arctic area, which is currently where a Kona Ice Truck sits for the pass holder event that's currently going on for the ride. And yeah, that's really about it for that part. Let's get into this ride experience. Now when you go into your trains, you're going to have these Type Premier Rides trains. This is the only complaint I have with the ride, is the trains. But even then, it's just getting into the trains. The seats actually feel wider than what they used to be. Icebreaker seats actually feel a lot wider than Tigers' or Tempesto's. I don't know why. And then you got the comfort collar. The comfort collar is by far the worst part of the ride, and it doesn't even affect the ride experience. It's just, I guess what you could say, the uncomfortable collar. The ride just doesn't need these restraints. Like, I can understand them on Tigers and Tempesto to make the rider feel safer, but this ride doesn't invert and it doesn't go near as fast. But because it's Premier Rides, and SeaWorld probably added this to, I think, probably make people think it's safer because of it. It does nothing, so that's probably the reason why we see that actually on the ride. But besides that, I don't really care. The comfort collars don't touch me, and honestly, I don't really want to complain about them at this point. So when you're leaving the station, you'll hear this little thing from this an automated voice, and it's actually pretty cool. It's like kind of like Tigress's beginning music, but there's no music. When you go into the launch track, you're gonna then hit a switch track. The switch track is also gonna send you over to the launch. You're gonna go over to your right, and then you're gonna lock in with the launch track. When you lock in the launch track, it is super fast on how fast it locks in. It locks in a matter of seconds. As soon as it locks, you're launching backwards, and that first launch actually has a surprising kick to it. If you watch my live my reaction to this ride, I was pretty surprised. That'll be actually in the link in the description if you want to see that. That launch is a pretty good kick. You don't really get airtime in this thing on the little hill before the spike because you're not really going that fast, but it is pretty nice how you go over the walkway. After that, you're going to go back down the hill and into the second launch. Another really good launch. It really does kick in the force a little bit. It's not forceful enough to be a super forceful launch, but it does have a little bit of a kick to it. You're gonna actually get some mild floater going into the bunny hill right before the actual top hat, and then you're gonna go back down into your third launch. This launch is actually really good in the front row, especially when you have the kick going backwards. It's actually really fun. And then after that, you're gonna go into your spike. This is the moment of the ride you need to be in the back row for, other than the top hat. You float out of your seat for a solid few seconds. If you go onto the Amusement Insiders channel, which is where my other reaction is with Dustin from Amusement Insiders, go check them out. Link in the description. We were floating out of our seats for quite a few seconds on that spike, and yeah, it was absolutely amazing. You're gonna go back down into the hill again. This time, you're gonna get a sustained pop of ejector airtime as you go down to the fourth launch. In my opinion, the fourth launch is the weakest, but still you get a little bit of a kick, not as much as a kick as on the third launch. And then you go into this bunny hill. This bunny hill I mentioned earlier that gave Maya Flutter, this is a death hill at this point. The ride violently shoots you out of your seat. It's not even funny how crazy this airtime is. If anything, this may just be the best airtime moment in the whole park. Yes, I'm saying better than Mako's 5-second floater hill, and I love that moment of airtime. That is probably one of my favorite moments of all time. This thing is crazy. You literally get ejected out of your seat. It's not even funny how you're flying out. If you have a couple of inches of room between you and the lap bar, you're just gonna go flying. You'll probably say something that's probably not the nicest thing to say. But besides that, then you're gonna go into your top hat. I feel like in the front row, the top hat's just 2 airtime moments in one. As you're twisting, you're flying out of your seat, and then when you're going down the descent, this is definitely a moment you want to be in the back row for. In the back row, you get flung over. It's just another amazing. This is the most sustained ejector moment on the ride, just because the spike on the third launch was an amazing floaty moment. This is a pure ejector, and it's pretty sustained throughout the whole drop. Then you're going to curve into a nice turn. Actually, it's a pretty fast-paced turn into a double down. This double down gives some nice ejector pops. It's kind of like an RMC double down, just not as crazy as RMCs like Trick Track double ups or anything like that. But still, you get 2 nice pops of ejector airtime, and it's definitely really fun. Then you go into probably the weakest part of the ride, which is the turnaround. I wasn't actually really expecting much, but if you're in the back row, you might get a mild pop of floater airtime. But other than that, it's just to turn the train around, and it's definitely needed for a breather. Then you're going to go into this wave turn. The wave turn gives no airtime, but I do like the sideways feeling. I do really like that, and I've ridden RMC coasters with that feeling. I think Icebreaker executed it perfectly just because it's not as fast as like what it was before. And then you're gonna go into another turn into a twisty S-bend. I will have to say I wish this gave more laterals. I was expecting for this part of the ride to actually give quite a bit of laterals, but there wasn't much. There was a little though. But then after that, you're going to go into a bunny hill. And if you're in the front row, you're going to get a good pop of ejector right here as well. And then you slide into the brake run. And yep, and that will conclude your ride experience. Right next to the brake run actually is where you'll exit. So you'll be able to actually get really close to the spike and the launch. And then you also got your gift shop there. For Icebreaker's final score, I'm going to give it a perfect 10 out of 10. You guys shouldn't be surprised by this. I've been raving this ride for a solid almost 10 minutes now. Icebreaker, in my opinion, is a perfect package. It's what SeaWorld needed, and it definitely fills in the biggest gap. A lot of kids can ride this, because if you think about it, you went from Grover all the way up to freaking Manta, Kraken, and Mako. There was no coaster other than Journey to Atlantis that had like a height requirement difference, or at least like a smaller jump, which Journey to Atlantis is mostly a water ride, except for the small coaster section. And then you got Icebreaker. Icebreaker is kind of like the cheetah hunt of the park. It's just more crazy. So that will conclude it for today's coaster review on Icebreaker from SeaWorld Orlando. Tell me what you guys think of Icebreaker. Have you guys ridden an Icebreaker yet? Tell me what you guys think of it. Are you guys going to go out on Icebreaker? Do you guys think it will be as good as it is? Is it the sleeper hit of 2022? Absolutely, yes, so far it is. As my first credit of the year, I'm very impressed, and it definitely makes a spot in my top 20, possibly even top 15. But that's gonna do it for me today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share all your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Oh yeah, also, check out my Instagram. That'll be in the link in the description. Bye.